And welcome to Retirement U TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Tim Lofton, and Tim is the CEO of the Retirement Blueprint. Tim, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Cynthia. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to be together with you on the show because it's just so much quality information that you're actually delivering to the viewing audience, and we know that they've been so receptive, and there's been such a demand for it because so often, Tim, isn't it true that people will enter their retirement years without a plan in place?
Cynthia, it is, and if you remember the statistic, there is 7 people every minute of every day turning 65.
Wow.
And that's not the thing that's really the scary part. The scary part is 70% report that they have no plan. No plan at all.
No plan at all.
No.
Nothing.
No.
So just the statements out of the mailbox.
Statements out of the mailbox.
That's it.
We've got our work cut out for us.
Yes, yes. But if there's anyone that can do it, it's you, Tim. So bring the statements in.
Thank
Let
you.
us take a look.
Absolutely.
Oh, so I know things have been really busy. Let's talk about life in the office for just a few moments. How
Sure.
are you able to maintain your client base right now?
Well, you know, COVID has certainly brought a different aspect to what we do. But for the most part, things have felt pretty normal. I think the biggest change that I've noticed is the comfort level that people have with doing Zoom meetings, the video meetings. There seems to be an adoption with an older generation that is totally comfortable with that I think a year ago was not. So
absolutely.
That's been a positive, being able to maybe limit the amount of coming into the office. We've been able to still stay engaged because I do believe, as you know, in kind of a face-to-face conversation, and you can't get that over the phone, but through video and through technology, it's really allowed us to continue that face-to-face meeting and doing life with people, even though we're not necessarily in person.
And there's something that's so comfortable as well, Tim, about being able to just talk about financial planning, retirement planning, if you will, in the comforts of your own home. You know, it's really nice.
There is, and every once in a while you'll see people being so comfortable that they'll do their meeting in pajamas.
Yeah.
Which is
I love that.
Which is just, and I love it too, because it's like they feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they feel comfortable with you, and that feels good.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, I think my dogs are still getting used to Zoom because every time I'm on a Zoom call, without fail, they will start running around, barking and scratching at the door to go out. I mean, every single time, Tim. It's like it never ever ends. But anyway, going back to just the whole process of planning for retirement,
Right.
if you will, what I love about our show is that we get viewer questions, and we've been having some really good ones come in each week. So actually, you had a question that came in at the end of our show last week, Tim.
Okay.
It said, the caller was curious to know, you mentioned obviously the #1 biggest surprise expense in retirement would be taxes.
Right.
He asked, Tim, what is in second place?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, what's funny is that second place is often what people think is in first place, and that's healthcare cost. You know, and it's not just, you know, the idea of, you know, a lot of times we say healthcare and people think immediately of their Medicare expense, and maybe if they have a supplement or if they have an Advantage plan or something of that nature, but that's not really what we're referring to. We have clients that retire before the age of 65. And so figuring out a plan for how they're going to get from their current age to the age where they qualify for Medicare is a whole plan in and of itself. So figuring out, you know, what do we need to do from a cost standpoint? How do we address the risks of, you know, out-of-pocket expense, and, you know, what are we going to put those limits at, and what can we afford, and you know, whether or not it makes sense to keep their employer plan and continue to pay through COBRA, or if they should get their own plan. And then, of course, we have, you know, in the Dayton area, a lot of folks are veterans. And so that even gives them additional options that they can take advantage of.
Okay.
And so that gets us to age 65 into Medicare, but then we also have things like long-term care expense that we have to address as well. So
That's a lot.
It is.
So when you think about that, Tim, in healthcare, the costs of healthcare are going up, correct? We see an increase every single year. So it's really crucial and critical to plan for health, because I think a lot of people that are going into retirement, and I've heard this before from a lot of people, where they feel that Medicare is going to cover all of their medical expenses, but that's not the case, correct?
It's not. You know, Medicare is a really good plan, and I don't want our viewers at home to misinterpret my statement, because if you have Medicare and you have a supplement, you're pretty much taken care of. I mean, in most cases, with a supplement in Medicare or with a Advantage plan, it's very similar to what most people had working for an employer. Okay. And at a much less expensive cost. So the coverage itself is really good. The question is not what Medicare and supplement they should have, but understanding what Medicare covers and what Medicare doesn't cover.
Okay, okay. When you are sitting with someone and you're developing the entire plan, which I love, the retirement blueprint, I think that's an amazing process that you've put in place. How do you help determine what someone's healthcare costs will be in the future? Is there a formulation that you follow?
There's not. We have someone in the office that will actually that helps specifically with Medicare and supplements, and can put together. Most of the time, people are picking their supplement based on their doctors in their hospital that they choose to use, and so that really helps define really what plan works best for them. But our job is to make sure that we understand, first of all, you know, what coverages they need, what doctors they have, and then that helps kind of plug them into the right solution.
Okay, excellent. And I know we have a special offer that we're going to be giving the callers today. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is, Tim?
Sure, absolutely. So the two things that we have to give to our viewers is, first of all, understanding how much risk you're taking. And that's specific to our wealth management team, and they will put together a report for our viewers using that Riskalyze.
Okay.
Remember, Riskalyze, that is a program that won the Nobel Peace Prize.
That's amazing.
For economics. And so just an amazing piece of software that really helps people understand kind of where they are and what the potential risk is. And then the second thing that we help with is giving them that actual retirement blueprint. We can, you know, if you want to we can put that graphic up.
I would love to see the graphic this week, Tim, because it's a great graphic and explains your whole process, actually.
Absolutely. So the retirement blueprint is really designed around the idea of building a foundation for folks using what we call the 5 cornerstones of planning. And that starts with an income plan, and then we look at the investment plan, the tax plan, the health care that we're talking about today, and all the components of that, and then of course the estate plan that really wraps around the whole plan and makes sure that what people want to have happen in the future is in writing.
Okay.
And so that's, you know, we should do a show just on the estate plan, because that would be a great idea. That would be a really good show, because there's so much to talk about just in that area alone.
Absolutely, because like we've mentioned before, if you don't have a plan, Uncle Sam's going to make one for you, right?
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
And we don't want that.
No.
Tim, this is the perfect time for us to open up the phone lines for the viewers at home. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
To our viewers at home, the phone lines are now open this week. The number to call is 855-684-3485. We know you have a lot of questions about how to plan for your perfect retirement. Tim has the answers for you. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call today. What he's offering the first 10 callers is what he mentioned before. You're actually going to receive the Riskalyze report as well as the retirement blueprint. First 10 callers only. And once again, the number is 855-684-3485. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
As you prepare for, transition into, and navigate retirement, there's one thing you're sure to have: questions. Lots of questions about retirement. Like, when can I retire? Will I run out of money? Who pays for nursing home care? And many, many more.
Axum Planning and Wealth Management uses the Beta Blueprint retirement planning software to help answer your questions.
This program takes stacks of documents from every area of your financial life and converts them into one large picture. Just as you would never buy a house without seeing it first, why would you ever retire without being able to visualize it? By being able to see the whole picture, you can then make better decisions about your retirement. First, the blueprint looks at your top goals and concerns. Then, we look at your age and the trigger age decisions you have to make, like when to take Social Security, Medicare, and required minimum distributions. Next, we analyze your fixed income streams and compare that to your retirement lifestyle. For most people, their lifestyle exceeds their income, so we determine which assets to tap to make up the difference. When looking at assets, there are 3 key numbers we want you to know. The first number is the risk score of what you own. Every investor has a risk tolerance, and every investment has a risk score. The risk scale runs from 1 to 99, and the S&P 500 has a score of 78. We use a scientific framework that won the Nobel Prize for Economics for its ability to identify true risk tolerance. If you are taking too much risk, when would you want to know? The second number we want to know is the maximum drawdown of what you own. Maximum drawdown is the maximum loss from a market peak to a market trough. The maximum drawdown of the S&P 500 in 2008 was about 51%. What was the maximum drawdown of what you own? And the third number is your annual withdrawal rate percent. If you're taking too much here, you could run out of money. Finally, we look at your insurance and long-term care. Do you have life insurance? If so, what type, and does it expire? We analyze the income reduction from losing a spouse. We want to know if the surviving spouse will be protected. Have you planned for long-term care? Do you know all your health care options? Being able to put all this information in picture format is like watching holistic planning come to life. Your financial picture helps us identify the potential cracks and red flags in your overall retirement plan. Remember, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Discover the power of the picture for your retirement. Learn how to get a blueprint of your life.
And welcome back to Retirement U TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Tim Lofton, and Tim is the CEO of the Retirement Blueprint. Tim, a great first segment of the show that we're having, obviously today talking about healthcare. And what I love is that we go to the phones and I get to watch them light up. You're looking in one direction, but I get to see the phones. So we have a viewer question actually that came in as well during one of those phone calls. And he would like to know, Tim, I have a question. Does Medicare cover a nursing home stay? Your caller is from Dayton, Ohio.
Well, that is a great question and a very commonly misunderstood area of Medicare. So the quick answer is yes, sometimes maybe.
Okay. In other words.
So in other words, it covers a short period of time. You have to have a qualifying hospital stay and in limited circumstances.
Okay.
So the true answer is not really. When it comes to nursing homes, for any length of time, so I'm not talking about, sometimes people go to a nursing home for rehabilitation. That's a completely different thing. So we're not talking about that, 10-day, 15-day, 20-day stay. We're talking about that period where someone's going to be living in an assisted living facility for an extended period of time. And that's the area where Medicare just does not cover that. That is really completely out of pocket.
Okay. Okay. So it's very important to make a plan that's going to actually help benefit you down the road. If you know that some of the things that might be coming your way, maybe based on your parents' state of health, I guess, is a great way to kind of gauge that, Tim. Would you agree?
Sure, absolutely. So, I mean, one of the things that we talk about when we talk about long-term care planning is longevity. Right?
Okay.
I mean, we're not talking about life expectancy of how long you might live. The issue is how long you might live in not a healthy state.
Exactly.
And so that's really where we have to gauge. We look at family history. We can certainly help understand historically what has happened, but that doesn't change the fact that there is a good chance that if you're a married couple out there, that one of you could actually spend time in a nursing home. So
absolutely. And Tim, can I ask you, can you explain the difference in cost between assisted living, skilled nursing, and memory care?
Yes, and so one of the things that we see a lot is a misconception of what the cost is.
Okay.
So when you think about the cost for care, everybody seems to have a number. If I just said, hey, what do you think it costs on a monthly basis? Numbers are all over the place, and that's because numbers are all over the place.
Yeah.
For somebody living in a 55 and over community on their own, they may be spending $3,500 to $5,000 a month.
Okay.
We can move then up to where we might think of, assisted living, and that could be $7,500 a month. Skilled nursing could be $10,000 a month, and I know memory care at one of our local places here in town is $14,000 a month for memory care. So you're talking about from $5,000 to $14,000 a month, and how do you plan for that? The other problem that we see a lot of times is people plan for that number at 65 years old. Well, how old are they going to be when they actually use it?
True.
We're talking, in most cases, 30 years from now.
Great point.
So if I'm trying to plan for today's dollars for that potential issue, that's not what I should be planning for. I should be looking at what's that future cost and how am I going to cover that in retirement.
Of course, and completely dictated by inflation.
Exactly.
That's what we have to factor in. And I think a lot of times when, you talk to people that have never had a plan in place, when you look at all the different components, something that's so important to factor in, of course, we've talked about taxes, healthcare, but inflation, that's a huge piece.
Absolutely.
Because definitely things are going to go up as we get a little bit older. I mean, it is what it is. If you take even a look at the postage stamp today versus what it was, 10 and 15 years ago even, everything is going up.
I think that's why they came out with the Forever stamp.
Yes.
Is to keep you in the dark of how much you actually paid.
Which explains why there's less and less Christmas cards every year. It's like no one really knows. I know, it's amazing. So I have to ask you, Tim, if someone is in the viewing audience today and they're wondering what it feels like to be one of your clients, can we talk a little bit about that? What is the process like, and how do you welcome them into your firm, if you will?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, as you know, we have a process, and we showed, earlier in the show what our process is and those 5 cornerstones of planning, and that really is what we do. We help define each of those areas for our clients, put a plan together for each of those areas, and create that retirement blueprint that helps them know where they're going and how they're going to get there, and more importantly, if something goes wrong, what they're going to do about it.
Okay.
And once we get that plan in place, as you know, we're here to do life with them. That's really where we as a company feel that we do things differently than a lot of the firms out there. Planning isn't an event. It's a process. It's a lifetime process. And we feel that once we get that plan in place, that we can sit down with a client and feel comfortable at the starting point, understanding that things are going to change. And that we're going to have to adapt, and that's what the plan's all about.
So the plan is really a living, breathing organism, if you will.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It has to be.
Absolutely. Well, this is the perfect time for us to reopen the phone lines, Tim. Would you agree?
Yeah, let's do it.
To the viewers at home, the phone lines are once again now open, and we do realize that they have been busy in the past. So we've added the additional phone line this week for your convenience. Again, that number is 855-684-3485. What are you calling in for today? Well, the opportunity to meet with Tim and have him design a plan that's going to suit your needs for retirement. Your needs are going to be very individualized. They're not going to be the same as perhaps the person next door, and you deserve to have the retirement of your dreams. Tim is able to do this. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call. This opportunity is available to the first 10 callers only, and again, you're going to receive the retirement blueprint and also the Riskalyze report. So again, take the first step, pick up the phone and call 855-684-3485. We have to take a very short commercial break, but when we come back, I'm going to have more with Tim on how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
And welcome back to Retirement U TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Tim Lofton, and Tim is the CEO of the Retirement Blueprint. Tim, a great show that we're having today, obviously, and we've touched on healthcare, but let's dive a little bit further into long-term care. I wanted to ask you a question. Let's talk about the multiple options of long-term care. I'm going to let you run with that.
Sure, thank you. So for our viewers, you know, this is a very common question because it's a very common concern. So many of us have been touched with grandparents or parents who have had a time in a long-term care situation, and there's good stories where they had done proper planning and everything was fine, and then there's of course the stories that we hear where, you know, everything that they'd worked all their lives for basically evaporated, including in some cases even their family home. So it's definitely it's a hot topic, and I think a lot of times people wonder, well, what can we do? What are our different choices? And you have a lot of choices in the world of planning. I mean, one choice is to do nothing. Yeah. And we have had clients that have done that. They don't have any kids, and they're just not worried about passing anything on. You know, we talk about the fact that there's a 70% chance that one of two in a married couple will spend time in a nursing home, which means that there's a 30% chance they won't, right? And so as we think about the planning behind that, sometimes doing nothing is okay. And if we end up in a nursing home, we spend down our assets, and if we go to zero, we go to zero. You know, some people say, I want to be buried with that last dollar in my pocket. That's a planning strategy. That's not one that we prefer, but again, it's not our plan. Right. You know, a second way of planning is to insure that risk, as we do with any big potential loss. You know, our house burning down or a car wreck, you know, we insure the risk. We buy an insurance policy that will cover you know, that potential pitfall. The problem is, in the last 10 years, those policies have gotten very expensive. Okay. And so people who had policies from back in, you know, the early 2000s, we tell people, you know what you have is probably great. They had the inflation protection. The cost of it is still really low for the benefit that they're getting. And we see those all the time, and we say, hey, whatever you do, don't get rid of those policies. Yeah. But for people that are looking for something today and they don't already have one of those, one of the most common processes that we see people go through is the idea of self-insuring. And there's multiple ways that you can do that, but sometimes they'll look at part of their portfolio and say, you know what, this is part we don't need. We're going to grow that, and the idea is if we did need it for nursing home, we'll have it there, and we're going to grow that money, and it's kind of you know, tagged for that purpose. Okay. Sometimes people will use other vehicles where they can take money and leverage that money through like a life insurance policy, where the death benefit can actually be used not as a death benefit, but as a long-term care benefit. Wow. And so that's a very popular, you'll see in the higher net worth space that is kind of the go-to way of planning. Okay. And then, you know, the last step is that you can do trust planning. Now, I use the word trust. A lot of times that gets thrown around out there, and I will tell people that trusts are not generic. It's like saying the word car. There's lots of different types of cars. There's lots of different types of trusts. The trust work that I'm talking about is an irrevocable trust. Okay. So they're actually taking the assets that they have, they're moving them outside of their estate, And there's that 5-year look back, remember, for Medicaid. And they're doing that, and this is the important part for our viewers, they're doing that with an estate planning attorney, somebody who is a fiduciary and someone who specializes in that area of law. You don't want to be doing this on LegalZoom.
Okay.
That's not the place to get a good estate plan.
No, that sounds scary. I don't want to do that. Let me ask you something. Can I talk to you a little bit about the hybrid plan?
Sure, yeah. So a hybrid plan is where basically you are you're using part of your portfolio as a long-term care solution, but you're moving a large part of that into a life insurance policy and then leveraging the value of that life insurance. So most of our clients have no need for life insurance. They don't need a death benefit in the event that something happens for them. So one of the tools that you'll see used commonly is you can put a large amount of cash into a life insurance policy. It becomes a tax-free growth investment.
Like a bucket, if you will?
Yeah, exactly. And that can then be leveraged down the road in the event that people can't do 2 of those 6 activities of daily living that you have to qualify for in any case to qualify for long-term care. And so you can see, you know, an investment of a couple $100,000 garnering maybe $1 million over time in long-term care benefit, all of which can come out tax-free and be used for that purpose. So it's a very powerful tool over time.
Absolutely. And again, Tim, it comes down to the need of coming in, sitting with you, and really putting that plan in place. We have about 1.5 minutes left in the show this week. Do you want to tell the viewers once again what they're expecting to receive by calling in?
Sure. So coming into our office, the 2 things that you're going to get right away is one is that Riskalyze report that our team on the wealth management side will put together for you, that it will show you kind of what risk you're currently taking and how you might be better suited with more or less risk depending on how the results come out. And then secondly, that retirement blueprint, that report that's going to address each of those 5 areas of planning, putting together that report for you so you know what kind of the next steps are.
Thank you so much, Tim. And again, it's a changeable plan. It's a living, breathing organism because we know life happens and you're passionate about doing life with your clients. Also love your tagline, where we help you plan tomorrow today. I think that fits very well. Thank you for another great show this week. To the viewers at home, thank you so much for spending time with us again this week. The number to call is 855-684-3485. You've spent a lot of time in your working years trying to plan for retirement. Let Tim make sure that you have the proper plan in place. You deserve to retire with peace of mind, knowing that you're going to be just fine for all the years to come. Again, thank you for spending time with us this week. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we'll see you back here again next week. Thank you again.